or if you want
Hello, everybody.
well, I was not ready for that. This is the intro.
This is the intro. Hello, you silly cow.
No,
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 no.
bad Marcus. Horny jail,
Oh, bonk.
just like someone from this movie that we watched.
No one was horny. Yeah. Oh, yeah, he was. My
brother.
bad. I fucking forgot about that scene. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our review of Jung. I believe it's a Korean film.
Correct. It's a Korean sci-fi film.
And so originally we were gonna watch Gattaca. Then I realized everything, like on all the streaming services, it's no more. So we'd have to buy the movie, which fuck that, not doing that. I like that movie, but I don't like it that much to find out if I still want to watch it again for $8.99 or whatever. So
Right.
I was just kind of like, okay, da 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 da. The few days before we were going to watch this movie, on my feed and stuff, this movie was recommended to me. It was really popular on Netflix at the time. It's also sci-fi, and I was like, perfect. Because whenever I see a movie that I might want to review later, I have a list. So I was like, perfect. We can't do Gattaca. We're watching Jung-Yi. And I was pleasantly surprised. And because one of the reasons I wanted to watch Gattaca is I wanted to have like a discussion about what the movie was. Because that movie is about genetic engineering and like some things that could happen in our future, and the stuff that happens in this AI, I think will also make a fun discussion as well.
Okay. This is a very interesting movie. Before we get into it, to describe our format, if you haven't listened to it before, and for those who do already know, it goes as follows. We basically go over a spoiler-free initial thoughts of the movie. And then after we do that, we give a score. Then we go into a detailed, spoiler-filled one. That then we give our final scores, if they changed, improved, etc. But,
Yep.
as you know, there's 3 of us. And someone's missing.
Again, on my movie.
Again.
Yep. Not gonna comment any further on that. But yeah.
I am. Carlos is not here. Fuck you, Carlos. I'm gonna make Gears 5 a living hell for you. This is a PSA.
No, it was funny because he finally got the mic stand I ordered him, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, bro, you didn't have to do that. And my only comment to him was, listen, me and Dylan are going to make your life hell through this game. At least you can sit comfortably while it's happening.
Yep. And that's what happened while I was watching this movie. I was sitting comfortably, and I thought it was okay. It wasn't the greatest.
You thought it was okay. So, did you watch this in English or Korean?
I tried watching it in Korean.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, sorry. I tried watching it in English. The dub was actually angering me. So then I switched to Korean with translated subtitles, and it felt a lot better.
Okay. I was going to say, I did sort of the same thing. I didn't mind the English dub as much. I think with the action parts, basically the only voice actor I thought who was really bad were really important characters, like the director and I already forgot her name.
Jung-Yi?
No, I liked hers. I had a problem.
Are you talking about Dr. Jun, the daughter?
Yeah, the daughter, Dr. Jun. Her voice actor was also not good.
Yes.
But I liked everyone else as far as the English. If you heard the military guys and director, it was kind of funny. But everyone else was really bad.
I genuinely thought that the comedic beats, because this movie was not supposed to be comedic by any means. Like, it's not labeled as a comedy, but you get, like, a comedic antagonist in the director, which I thought he was hilarious in both English and Korean. I loved his character the whole way through.
Yeah.
And then you have... So, okay. A quick idea of this movie is I would compare it very much to Detroit Become Human or Ghost in a Shell.
Those are good comparisons.
Very sci-fi where, you have to take your mind.
Deal with AI and the sanctity of the brain and how intelligence affects everybody else in the future, stuff like that.
And it also had a nice commentary for, how we kind of like just ignore terms and conditions a lot of time too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that was a
Yeah.
South Park episode where it's like you didn't read the iTunes terms and conditions.
Yeah.
They fucking put Kyle into the human centipede.
And that's basically what this movie felt like, because this movie came out like literally this year.
Yes.
And the year's only been by for a month now, and we already got at my opinion, it's an okay sci-fi movie.
I
Um,
thoroughly enjoyed this.
I like the premise. It felt kind of cliche and generic at some points, but it's kind of hard to where almost all sci-fi feels like it's been done before.
Which is
So
understandable.
the take that it did was good enough for me to have a enjoyable time. I did like the setting, and I did like how they pulled a Reservoir Dogs and did not go too far from the main setting, which is the main laboratory.
Right.
And you can tell that their budget went heavily into CGI and
Yes.
heavily into green screens.
Yeah, because it was really important every time they have the AI combat models on screen.
Another thing I would say I liked was the world building. The world building was very simplistic. It didn't, shove down a bunch of exposition down your throat. Cough,
Yeah.
cough, Avatar 2, cough, cough.
Mm-hmm. But whatever was important was explained very quickly and very efficiently and thoroughly.
And you got a immediate understanding of every player in this game. Not game as in like the movie's about a game, but in this game of what's happening with people's minds and personality and what's happening. You immediately got an understanding of everyone's position in the case.
Yeah. So again to that the exposition, when a world piece is explained, I liked that in most cases, like the scene with the doctor, where right after something's explained, you see the consequences of it. So it's both visually and verbally explained. And I was like, oh, that's nice.
Yeah, it's very well done, and I'm glad that this movie had good pacing for it. Because two of my favorite things in any movie, I said it 100 times on other reviews, good sound design, good pacing.
Yeah.
You could have the shittiest looking film quality, like if Hardcore Henry had good story pacing and great audio design,
Yep.
it would be a better movie. I could
It
give a
would.
fuck if you filmed it on a GoPro.
Yeah,
But
it's kind of like independent, games. It doesn't have to look beautiful. It just needs to be engaging.
right, and I'd say for a movie that's only an hour and 40 minutes long, this is the first time that I genuinely would say, I wish it was longer. Because, like, the world seems so interesting, and the world itself was just like, first, it made me think that they're on like a Halo-type ring. Second,
Right.
then they explain that it's Earth to a degree, but then there's this whole thing going on and conflict. And we never really get to see the actual conflict happen that's in the background. It just gets swept under the bush because lack of time,
Um,
you know?
I think the whole reason for the conflict being there is to set up the initial premise as to why everything's happening, but it's also not important to the story because it's trying to lead you to make you think it's gonna be that kind of movie, but then it throws you a 180 and it's not. Because I was expecting this movie to turn out to be a whole action whatnot where we have the AIs go and they finish their mission and whatever, save the day, and it's not about that at all.
Right, and I would say that's one thing I did appreciate. It did have a pretty interesting twist that I was not expecting from this movie, to where the twist going from, hey, they're trying to deal with this main conflict that could possibly end us all, to, oh no, the conflict is not trying to stop the issue. The actual conflict is within moral and ethics and what is right and what is wrong.
Yeah.
And how horny simps should not get a hold of robots. We'll get into that on the spoiler part.
But yeah, I guess final thoughts for non-spoiler. What did you think in general of soundtrack? Because I know that's always big for you. Did you like the music?
Music was not memorable. Not like something I really sought out because, I always have a separate playlist on Spotify for like movie soundtracks.
Mhm.
So it didn't score a 10 in the audio section for me because the soundtrack wasn't rememberable and it didn't
Mhm.
really strike a key heart point for me.
Right.
But I will say for the pacing of the action scenes and the pacing of the dramatic scenes and the pacing of the weird, horny, sexy, not sexy, but sex craving simp dude.
Yep.
The music worked very well. The sound design was great. The guns sounded great.
Oh yeah,
The explosions, the robots sounded awesome.
they
Dude, it
did.
was great.
Oh,
But now, is it memorable enough to where I'd want to listen to it again? No. It's hard to kind of reach that level.
agreed. Um, I'd say as far as music, I would have liked some more. Not necessarily. I see. I've been re-listening to Tron because they talked about how there's going to be a new Tron movie, and nothing has made me more excited. Fucking love Tron Legacy. Um, and then so you have an amazing soundtrack like that, and I'm expecting some sort of atmosphere going on in the background, and that's what was missing. It's a really good atmosphere because where the soundtrack shines is in all of the emotional parts. Anything that's happening where it's really really sad. It's like this. It fits and it does its job well, but there isn't that, like you're saying, memorable in either the action or the world soundtrack where it's just kind of like, yeah, I'm gonna listen to this again later.
Agreed. And I'd say for like my initial score of the whole movie,
Mm-hmm.
before we get into spoilers, I would honestly give this movie a solid. Let's go with like a 6 out of 10.
Okay. Um, my initial score, going off of how it made me feel, I came out of this on a pretty big high. I would sitting at like an 8 right now.
Really, you liked it that much?
I enjoyed this movie, and I think because of the way. All right, we'll head into spoiler territory now. Um,
This is a
so
flag. This is the spoiler section. Go watch the movie.
we
This
will.
one, this one,
You've
I
been
generally
warned.
say go watch it because have your own takeaway from it. It's pretty good.
It was good. Um, what I wanted so badly was this strong, philosophical, ethical discussion from the movie I originally picked, and I got that from this one, and it made me so happy. It made me really happy where I was like, this is exactly what I wanted to see right now.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, I guess we'll start going over the movie start to finish. Anyway, so the start of the movie, it just hits off immediately with action. We see our sort of, I guess we have three main characters. She's a main character, but she's not on screen all the time, which is Jun. Um, and she's laying on the floor, wakes up, and shit goes down. Like she's attacked by 8,000 robots. Um, didn't before that there was something we on screen? It was like this is the world.
It explained what
Something.
happened and give us quick exposition about the world. Where the
Yeah.
Adrianan Republic, which is a republic of robots,
Mm-hmm.
became sentient and self-aware, and then just started attacking the people of Earth. So we have
No.
yeah,
I'm
roughly.
pretty sure it said what happened was no, a different part of the world split off from the other. They started their own nation, and it was a civil war that's going on, not a war
Right.
with robots. The robots were created by the people, and they weren't like self-aware type of thing. Because this wasn't an issue about human versus AI. This is the other country or whatever they were called. I don't remember what it was.
They're
'Cause
like
it
the
wa-
Adriatic Republic or something like that.
Yes, they were against each other.
Which give me vibes of Gundam Wing, for those who have seen Gundam. That's like the big main premise of the beginning of it.
I have not seen Gundam.
Recommend it.
Okay.
But yeah, so they give us exposition about this war that's going on and how the company that is the main company that we're following, they mainly relied on, or well, the main country, they relied on human freedom fighters. And
Yeah,
that there's this one great war hero named Jun Yi, who her whole objective is like she's basically the great hero, and you get to see her fighting a couple of Metal Gear styled robots.
and she kicks ass.
She whoops the fuck out of them.
It was awesome.
Like she was so badass, and the choreography was great. And then
Oh,
she gets distracted by something, and then she's shot.
yeah,
That-
that fight scene goes on for a minute, which that like Walker, it's not really a mech, it's like a walking tank.
Yeah,
That
it's like a
thing is
Gundam.
cool. Yeah, that thing's cool. I like it a
Like a
lot.
Gundam, Metal Gear, um, basically just giant robot dog with gun.
Yeah. I see when I think Metal Gear, I always think of the giant one at the end of fucking the one with Big Boss. You know what I mean?
Oh, Phantom
Yeah.
Pain or whatever it's called.
No, not Phantom Pain. Because in that game you're Venom Snake and Big Boss is helping you. The one where you play as Big Boss, the last one.
I know which one you're talking about, but I can't think of it.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, name escaping me.
But
If
I get what you're saying.
yeah,
Basically, giant robot that is crazy strong. Basically a mech. These guys are just more like human-sized automatons that are just basically robot soldiers.
yes.
Cracked out versions of droids from Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
And so they shoot her, and then you realize once she's distracted, she gets shot. That was a simulation, and she wasn't real.
Yeah,
She was a robot.
and that's when we're introduced to our actual main characters of her. What is her daughter's name? Because I know they don't just call her Doctor Jun the whole time.
Doctor, get back with me.
Okay. Where's my phone? Because I can pull it up too. Uh, but yeah, is the first scene there is when the director is then setting up for the conference initially, right?
Correct. Well,
Yeah.
the first scene is that Dr. Jun, she basically goes, dang it, the robot failed. All right, let's try another test the next day.
Right.
And then, of course, before then, there's a conference that Dr. Jun
Seo Seo is her name, I believe.
Dr. Jun Seo?
It's Seo Hun.
Seo Hun. So,
Yeah.
Seo Hun, or Dr. Jun Seo Hun, she is then called by the director for a meeting. And the director, who is the goofiest dude, dancing around, so excited for this conference, and he's like,
Threatening
man,
people's lives.
yeah, he's like, man, this is gonna be the best conference. You better do it right, and just like starts yelling at everyone, like,
Yeah, he's like,
threatening
what
them.
there's a fish on screen. He's like, what the fuck is this? You think I'm gonna serve this shit? I should kill you. I'm kidding.
Yeah, this fish is just rotten. I'm kidding. I can understand. You don't understand
Oh.
jokes. You're an idiot.
The dude was just like visibly upset and concerned.
And then, of course, after that, we get a little exposition about who the director is and a little bit more about the company. And then we get these big military generals and officers who are there to learn about how the project's going.
Yes.
And so the director makes this elaborate demonstration to describe the history to give us more exposition. And he tells jokes all the way through it. And he's telling these directors, oh, I worked on this voiceover work myself on this one.
Yeah.
I filmed this part too right here myself.
And they're just like so done with this shit, and we already know this. Can we move on? And he's like, oh, okay.
Okay, let it go. And I love how the guy in the seat's like, "Are you sure you want to keep?" He's like, "Yes, just move on."
Yeah.
Okay,
He's like, go, skip to the end. And
you sure? Yes, just skip to the end.
And basically, he explains, we're creating AI from Junyi because she's a great war great war hero that everyone loves, and she's going to be the base model for all these new AI combat models that are going to win us this war.
And it's cool because they're trying to develop the perfect combat AI, and so they have different versions of her brain that they keep trying because they're going off of the old brain of the original. Because later on we find out that in this world, a really cool plot point is that when you die, you have three options. Option A, you could basically spend your money, and it's like a lot of money, and put your brain and consciousness into a fully free automaton that allows you to be married, adopt kids, live the rest of your life as a robot. No,
Yep.
Pure free will.
Mm-hmm.
Number two,
yes,
it is the cheap option, but you basically get a little bit more freedom. Oh, you get a little less freedom, but at the cost, you basically get to work for a business of sorts. You're used for basic generic stuff.
I think it was like you still have most of your freedom, but you just can't like adopt and Was
You
it
could
that?
adopt, but you were treated basically no different than the average robot in the world. And a prime example of that was the doctor who was talking to.
No, he
Uh,
was option 3.
he was option three, but I was gonna say is that he gives us a pretty good example as like you would just be a worker with no
Yeah.
free rights, basically a slave. You have your free cognitive thought, but you just have to work and work and work, but you still get free range of motion.
Yeah, it's like when it's work time, you're set into that, and there's no you can't choose not to, I guess.
And that one's cheap, but even if that's too expensive, you have option C, which means that just like in most terms and conditions where, for social media in our current day and age, if you don't read it, you're basically allowing a lot of people to collect your data for free, listen on the stuff you want. That's why when you talk about having a sandwich or something like that, you get ads for sandwiches on like Facebook and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
this option,
Yep.
did you want to talk about, Marcus?
Oh, okay. Go ahead. You're explaining it. Go for it.
I was gonna say is option C basically means that you're signing your life away to the mega corporations and the government and whatever you want, so that they can just do whatever the hell they want with you. And with this doctor, after the doctor appointment, you find out that he is just on a robotic pedestal, and he's just there to talk to people about their medical problems. And that's the fate that some people can subject themselves to. Well, the hero Jung Yi, or also known as Jung E now, she was option C. So the government and this mega corporation that's working on weaponry is just using her body and her thoughts to try to develop the perfect warrior AI.
Yeah. The doctor scene was one of my favorite scenes in this movie because he lays everything out really well because he's kind of making it sound none of this is actually that bad. Is option A, you're still you and everything's fine, but that's really expensive. Option B, you're still you, but just little minute details. And you basically become public domain with option C, where anyone can own your instance of consciousness and do whatever they want with your likeness, your brain, because you don't exist anymore. It's purely for everyone who came after you. They can collect on the money that comes from you, which
Right.
is how Seo is able to go through college and ends up working on her own mother's program. But the way he was just kind of like the camera work and everything, the way it was cut away is so perfect because she's just like thinking about this. He explains everything, and then it's just like, oh shit, he powers down as she walks away, and it's really sad and somber with the movie. I loved that scene. It was so good.
Agreed. It was a very well done scene. And going back to beforehand, we run a couple more tests, and we start finding out that they keep trying to develop constantly Jung E's brain and mind. And they have this scanning piece that basically scans her entire brain for brain function. And if the brain fails, they delete it and start anew.
Yes.
And
Trying to
then
remember order what came after.
afterwards, they then go into the exposition part where the young doctor, who was a big fan of Jung E, starts talking to.
Yeah, because they show the
Seo.
first. Yeah, they show the first what happens with her body afterwards, and you see when they power her back on, she's like, "Where the fuck am I?" Because she still has that consciousness, not knowing what she is, that she's a robot or anything. Looks down and oh shit, half my body's gone. Freaks the fuck out, and they have to turn her off.
And then
It's
destroy
like-
her brain.
Yep, I was like, that was really morbid. Holy shit.
Then we find out why Dr. Seo is basically like having a very rough time, and she gives exposition to I forget the name of the nerdy doctor.
The nerdy guy. I have the
Yeah.
cast list up. Let me see. And he's not on there. Perfect.
Well, I'm just gonna call him Virgin Doctor. So
I was sad because he seemed cool at first. In
I
this scene.
know. So Virgin
Oh.
Doctor was a very genuine guy and listened to Dr. Seo, and then she explains that Jung E is her mother, and she is a daughter.
Which
and we
is fucked up. She
Yeah,
just had to kill her mom.
So fucked up that she had to kill her mom as many times as it took. Because this is number 19, if I'm correct, that they worked on.
It's fucking a lot, however many it was.
And the fact that she's seeing her mom constantly go through this torment, and it's a very brutal thing. But the reason why she has to keep going through it is because, her mom made the sacrifice so that she can get a proper surgery for her lung cancer.
Yeah, at this point I think they start talking about, because that's what happened in the doctor scene. We learn Seo has had terminal cancer as a kid in her lungs, and the whole reason her mother was a mercenary was to pay for her treatment, and the initial treatment kept her alive all this time, but now at this point it's spread so much where she's given 3 months to live.
And we slowly find out that the surgery just did not work to begin with, and it's kind of pointless. So she's trying to make amends in terms with her mother by trying to either perfect her or whatever it may be.
My understanding why she had been going the whole time is like she felt a sense of responsibility. It's like, okay, if she was going to get all the schooling anyways, she wanted to make sure that this was going to be handled properly because it's her mother.
Right.
And then she was thinking more and more about how, okay, I want to actually talk to her and see how she feels, because she's been debating this whole thing about interacting with the AI, because is it really
it could
her
cause
mother?
a form of corruption.
Not even that. I think it was that it could be that. My thought is it just she didn't feel like it was her mom. It felt wrong to try to interact with this thing.
Right. But what could she do? She is literally bound to this company, and she's basically stuck with it because of the contract, and
Yeah.
her mom is their property.
Yep.
So a little bit after that, we get another. The director's like, "All right, cool. Let's run it back again and see what we can do." But this time, shoot her in the leg.
Yeah. He's like, we've done nothing different this whole time. Just take the gun, pop her in the leg, see what happens. What happens?
And holy crap, I have never seen something so fucking painful and sad.
Yeah.
Where you see, because, even though she's an AI robot, she has the thoughts, minds, and feelings of what Jung had when she was alive. And she keeps waking up in the same scenario where these robots are trying to kill her. Well, this time, she wakes up, and she's immediately in immense pain. The pain receptors in her brain start going off because a part of her body is in pain.
Yeah.
And these robots just step on her, crushing her ribs.
Oh, I was just going to say the pain receptors thing was something that they had constantly where they're like, this is how much pain we're going to make her feel now. Like, oh, okay.
That's not terrible at all,
Yeah, no, not at all. Like, oh, God. This is how I keep feeling, like, oh, no.
So shortly after that, she is getting her rib cage crushed in by the robot, stepped on. She's screaming pain, and you start seeing that her pain and will to fight receptors in her brain are switching. The pain is winning.
Yeah.
And suddenly, this random third-party receptor in her brain just starts going off. And mind you, the director is such a goofball. He's like, I want the pain receptor strawberry red.
Yes.
You serious? Yes. Strawberry red. I'll give you fucking strawberry, says one of the scientists.
yeah, I'll fucking give you
strawberry. And then he switches it to red. And then the new receptor, he's like, banana yellow.
No, it was pineapple.
Oh, sorry, pineapple yellow.
Yeah, he's like, what color should this new area be? I know, pineapple. We'll make it pineapple yellow.
And everyone's like looking around like, you fucking serious, guy? What the fuck?
This guy is in charge of us.
So it quickly turns into pineapple yellow, and we find out that this is a new receptor that she literally starts whooping their ass again.
Yes. Like it's the Matrix part of her brain that activates where she said, nope, it's over now. Game time. Not messing around anymore.
She just starts tearing a house, and then right before she's able to do anything, she gets shot in the head. Director goes batshit crazy. Why would you shoot the fucking head? And then that brain is no good, so they try to salvage what they can from the AI.
Yep.
and they don't have a name for this brain part of the brain yet. As Marcus promptly said, it's the Matrix brain.
Yeah. Um, they start with an initial hint, and I like the subtle hint dropping as it goes on, because the first time we see her die, she's looking at some kind of trinket in the distance or something, and then she gets shot. This time, it's you can see she's pondering, and it's clearly something visually goes on with her face where she realizes, and then that part of her brain kicks on, and something's going on here. This is where you can start to put together what's happening as she's thinking about her daughter. And I don't think the next time it activates is once the daughter actually purposefully triggers it. Yeah. And that's like towards the end.
Yeah. So before that.
Yeah.
Before we get to that cool part.
Mm-hmm. After that, I believe that's when they had to all go for a meeting to the corporate headquarters.
Yes.
And
because the director's like, that's perfect. That's just gonna be our battle AI. That's something. Let's go.
Yeah. And this is the real first hint drop for the director's secret here, is when he's interacting with the other chick. He gets mad when they show up. This other chick comes out and she's like, yeah, the director's not going to see you. I'll oversee everything right now. What's happening with your project. Give all your reports to me. He's like, the fuck do you mean? I want to talk to my buddy. I love him. I love the director. I want to suck his dick. And, but yeah, she was like, no, fuck you. And you're an idiot. Give all of your shit to me. Wow, you're so pathetic. You don't even realize what's going on with your company and what you. And he's like, excuse me, what do you mean? And she's just like, there's this whole thing that's going on. And they placed this well, because at the same time, it's when the doctor was taking her, what I guess we call it the Turing test, I think. Isn't that the official term for it?
I have no idea. Oh, her ethics test.
Yeah, but I think
it's a Turing test.
Yeah, it's the actual test. Basically, it's to see if you're a robot or not. Are you thinking like a human?
Yeah.
And
it's a CAPTCHA.
You could kind of see that something's going on here. What's wrong with the director? Maybe he's not just quirky, you know?
And she said something along the lines, too, that was a really big hint, where she's like, man, it's true, you can't really control your emotions that well at all, can you?
Yep.
And he's like, the fuck did you say to me? She's like, oh, nothing. Have a good day. And he's like, bitch. And then they just leave.
Oh, didn't the doctor hint drop that about option B?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. I thought so. I was like, there is another hint at this point where it was like...
Option B, you have trouble controlling your emotions. There's parts of you that you can't really control.
It's hard. Yeah, and I was like, oh, shit. He's a robot, isn't he?
And so we go back, we do the ethics test, and we find out that, he'll get results if... she'll get results if she's really good. Speaking of she, that's Dr. Jun, I forgot to mention. Her ethics test goes pretty good. And then we go back to the lab.
Yeah, the lab.
The
lab. And then kind of nothing eventful happens until, if I'm remembering correctly, when the director shows up again, right? Because there's maybe another trial that happens and just kind of nothing changes, or
there is another thing.
Okay, what was it? I don't remember.
I think the sweaty virgin nerd thing happened first.
No, that happens after the director for sure.
Like the actual commissioner?
Yeah, the actual...
The big boss.
Yeah, because the big boss shows up, and I remember he tells them, we're not doing the combat AI thing anymore. Like, you guys have 3 more trials or whatever, and then
it's officially over.
Yeah. And then that's also when he straight up pauses the director, and we're like, oh, yep, he is a robot. And it...
And then you find out that the director is actually a robotic version of a younger version of him, isn't he?
Yes, it is just the director's personality. He explains that originally he was going to transfer his consciousness into one of the robot bodies, but he couldn't go through with it because it said it felt too hollow, dark, just not real. So he kept the body around and just had a copy of his brain. So when he unpauses him and the director does his goofy ass jokes, the chairman is just laughing because he thinks himself is hilarious.
Yeah, he literally just made the personality parts of where he's just a comedian times 100, and he starts losing his shit at his own jokes. It's like, man, you're really funny, and the director's like, I am? Thank you.
He's like, I love you.
So, then he's like, okay, well, I need to talk to you. And he's like, well, wait, when'd you get here? Because the director was frozen by the commissioner of the entire company because he's a robot. We find that out. And then the commissioner explains everything to Jung. When he unpauses the director goes, what the hell? What happened? When'd you get here? He's like, oh, it's all good. I just needed to see her. So she's good to go.
Yep.
I actually need to talk to you.
Yep. And then after this is when I believe another trial happens, which only results in failure. We see the director's pissed off, and then comes the scene that you've been waiting for. Because right before this, they're talking about, we're probably just going to repurpose her for like household. Yeah. Anything to be a maid or whatever. It's like
and I think in my mind, toasters.
Yeah, I was like, oh, okay. She'll be around the house. She'll clean or whatever.
She's like a Keurig or something.
No. my thoughts were more like, positive. Maybe they'll have her help the handicapped or something. It's like, that'll be nice. She'll be a nurse. My
thought was, she's going to be like my Roomba or a Keurig.
Oh. No.
Or an Alexa.
I mean, you're fucking... my brain is not working.
I'm not fucking. But you know who was fucking? The Virgin Scientist. Because there's a weird thing where robot number like 20-something, 23, has a weird flag. And it's coming from the Virgin Doctor's laboratory or room. So
she went to him because, remember, she found the yellow again and sent it to his room because she wanted to talk to him about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it was.
And then she gets a red flag that something's being tampered, and she immediately runs over there. Jun runs over there, goes into his room, and then you find out this dude's a fucking weeb. He's got anime posters, he's got like memorabilia, and you see Jung-E, the poor woman, her like 20-second version of her is caked up and in skimpy lingerie outfit.
Yep. She was wearing nothing but underwear.
Underwear, belly dancer shit, and he's like, I could explain.
I could explain.
And I literally had to pause the way to process. I'm like, damn, he's trying to fuck your mom.
Yeah, I was like, I saw that scene when it comes on, and I'm so pissed off. I'm just like, I'm only distracted for a second by the ass because damn. But after that, I'm just nothing but angry because I've been rooting for this woman the whole time, and then he's like, but you know, she's like an action hero. It's the whole idol thing. Guys are into that. I'm like, fucking kill this guy. I'm so angry right now.
When at first I was like, oh, this guy's great, and I see the scene, and I go, damn, she's kicked up. You son of a bitch! Like, that's what my mind went to. Like, fuck you.
Leave my mom alone.
And so, Dr. Seo-hun, she basically grabs the nerd, slams him against the wall, is ready to beat his ass, calling him a pervert and all this stuff. And he makes a very good point. She's option C.
Yeah.
She is literally property.
Yep.
He can literally do whatever he wants to her because that's what she's designed for now. That's her purpose.
That's the thing. He didn't even try to be like, this is what I wanted to do. No, he was a fucking bitch about it. He was like, the company told me I have to do this. I swear, they came from higher up, but this is everything that they told me I have to do.
Yeah, they told me that I have to lay pipe on your mom. Sorry, bro. Business.
And I was so angry.
I was like, you virgin motherfucker, you bastard.
I liked him so much in the first scene.
He was so nice.
And then he pissed me off so much.
And then once Jung Jun Seo, when Seo hears the words "she was Type C," something clicked.
Yeah, she's like,
Something upset her, and she just
mm-hmm.
walked off.
She put it all together. It's like they're going to violate my mother in every way possible. I need to do something.
Just like this virgin.
Yep.
She
And
also doesn't do anything with that robot, so that means he probably still had sex with her afterwards.
Don't fucking remind me.
No, I'm gonna.
It's so angry.
So after that, we go through another test, and the two main scientists that have been setting up the initial test, Jun, she basically takes over and says, "Hey, I got this." Turns her cognitive matrix brain portion down to like 20% to put her into like a dreamlike state, and
Yes.
whispers into her ear, "Hey, basically explains to her what's happening to her.
Yeah.
This is
she
what's
explains
happening.
Everything.
This is your cognitive motion, and this is exactly what's going to happen at this exact time."
Mm-hmm.
Testing goes off, and when beforehand there was one thing that we did miss, where the director almost shoots her in the head.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's because they were torturing her mom again. Yeah, the director, he was trying to get the yellow to activate, and so he was like, cut her arm off. And they all look at him like, what? He's like, cut her arm off. Why does it matter? Just fucking cut her arm off. And she's screaming the whole time as they're doing horrible things to her.
And
I think he even goes on to continue shooting her in the leg or something.
yes, and then she shuts down from the pure like pain.
Yeah.
And then that's when we see the first little turn of Dr. Seo, where she takes administrative control, and then the director immediately is going to shoot her in the head.
Yeah, he's like,
and then that's when the director calls her.
Yep.
That's when the commissioner calls the director to have a meeting.
Because he was all like, you fucking, I'm going to do what I want. She's like, stop. That's enough.
And so then we skip to the part where we go back a little bit forward, and we have a little bit of exposition where this is before Dr. Seo starts doing her stuff to mess with the Jung E robot.
Mm-hmm.
And the director and her have a heart-to-heart where the director's like, I don't understand it. Our last day of testing's tomorrow.
Right.
This is just going to be from combat AI to household object.
Right. He's all sad.
Yeah, he's very sad.
Yeah.
So we cut back to what I was talking about before, where proceeding to the next day, we have our test, and Jung E goes through the standard thing, and she gets heavy finger air quotes shot in the face,
just like every other time.
And the director goes, "Well, thanks for your work, everyone. Have a good day. Fuck," and he just walks away.
Yep.
And then everything goes back to normal until some little sneaky snoo stuff happens.
That's right. What? Jacuse, she's not dead.
She has cognitive ability.
Yeah, she gets up, and that's when the escape plan starts.
And the director noticed something weird happen because he's also a robot, so his perception is really good.
Yeah, and he was like, wait a minute. And as the escape plan is starting, he plays back the video, and he's like, oh shit, she dodged right before that bullet. Sound the alarm!
And that's when everything starts going loose. Jung-yi starts beating up on the scientist. Dr. Seo tries to find her mother. And then Dr. Jung-yi runs into 3 of the combat AI that were based off of her.
Yes.
Because the director releases them. And you get this really cool action scene where it's a room full of other Jung-yis.
Yep.
And her, the main one, and these 3 unskinned combat AI just having this crazy brawl for all.
Yeah, and while she beats them, she nearly loses. And the last one is when she's about to lose, because she kicks the ass of the first 2, but loses an arm in the process.
Right.
And yeah, and then that's when more sneaky stuff happens, because the cops show up. But Seo's all like, "We're gonna switch you and put you in the other empty one."
And we go from and then the mind switch, and then they actually shoot the.
That's when they went through the vents, and her mom was all like, I can't fit in these vents. I'm too dummy thick.
And then from there, they have this grand old escape scene where they go onto like one of those trolley tram things, and the director's there with a pistol,
Yep.
ready to fucking shoot her.
Yep. And then shit goes down.
Fight breaks loose, and sadly, Dr. Jun's Seo, she sacrifices herself for her mother.
Yeah, but you're not gonna gloss over at how fucking spectacular that whole action scene was, right?
No, I'm going to gloss over it. Anyhow, so do you want to describe it? Because I knew you were gonna love this a lot more than I would.
It's fucking great because you have two androids just trying to beat each other. It's so good, and I really like when it happens where it's like you make him look more inhuman as the fight goes on, because when he gets punched in the face and stuff, and when
His like skin starts peeling off and everything.
yes, and then when he gets shot and he's knocked down, but then he gets back up and his eyes do like the white flash, and I was like, oh, it's round 2. Here we go. He said, not today, bitch. You're pineapple. Your ass is mine.
But it was very poetic, the entire fight, because you got to see that director slowly became more and more of the robotic cold monster that he is.
Yes. And then like when they're going
Very
through,
Terminator-esque.
yes. And we go through more of the destroyed environment of the Earth. And my all-time favorite types of sci-fi environments are the ones like these, where you see all of this, like a big sprawling city that's been taken over by nature in some fashion. In this one, it's flooded by the ocean, and it just looks beautiful. I love everything like this, and it's contrasted by like all the new sci-fi stuff. There's monorails that cut through, but you can see all the old buildings. They're still beaten up and run down. There's people, lighting fires to stay warm on top of them, and it's just, the scenery is great. I fucking love the scene. The setting. It's just beautiful.
Very cyberpunk.
It reminds me of Nier Automata.
Yes.
Everything about this, because literally when this movie started, right, and she starts kicking ass, my thought was like, damn, she kicking ass like 2B, and she's literally a robot, and I go, holy shit, she is 2B. Everything about this movie, I was just kind of like happy the whole way through, because every time I'm like, oh, but no, what if they did. But yeah, it ends where she finally kicks the director off the tram, and he unfortunately had shot Seo in the fight, so she's like, leave me behind, and her mom escapes out into the wilderness to be able to live her own life, and that's the end of the movie.
So, Marcus, what are your final scores for this movie?
Well, the last thing that I'd like to say is this movie went above and beyond for my expectations. I love the way all of the ethical problems are presented in this movie. Every single twist got me. I was pleasantly surprised every time something happened. I just had to me it felt like a super fun roller coaster ride, where it's like the highs were so high, and all of the really sad emotional scenes really struck hard. And I would like a good movie even if it's a sad movie the whole time, it's when it's done well, as long as I'm feeling something the whole time, it's doing a good job. Because I was in tears twice to this movie, because I'm like, no, you can't do this. I think the first time was when she's like, I don't know if it was when she was talking, I think it was after, when they were talking about how she's going to die in 3 months, and she's reflecting on her mom, because the whole theme of this movie is just her mom gave up everything for her, and now she gives up everything back for her mom. There were so many parallels in the movie, and then in the parallels between the chairman and the director, and then the parallels between the different AIs, and then the different levels of how everyone can become these different types, and how society chooses people to be, oh yeah, you're registered as an individual, or no, you're just product now. I liked everything about this movie. This movie was great. It's what I wanted. I'm stuck because I want to give it like a 9, but the things that you said about the soundtrack really not being memorable does hit a place. And the more I was like saying there was no good setting music, it makes me want to do like 8.5, but I'm sticking
We don't
to
do 0.5s.
exactly. I'm like, we don't do 0.5s ever. It's the whole point of 0 to 10. There are no half scores. And honestly, I had such a great time. And like I said, if it does something different, and to me, it felt same but different enough because of the way it approached a lot of these concepts, I am okay with giving it a high of a score as 9. So that's what I'm going to stick with. I like this movie a lot.
Okay. So you're giving it a 9 as your final from 8 to 9?
Yes, because I would easily watch this movie again.
The movie for me was a fun movie, and it had great sci-fi. It took a very basic, generic, cliche concept and made it unique. My big thing is pacing. Knocked that out of the park. The pacing did not feel awkward. The pacing felt great, and I literally felt like I was replaying Detroit Become Human, but in Korea.
Yeah.
And I would say that the sound design, despite the sound design for the guns, but the soundtrack was meh and everything. I'm gonna join Marcus at a higher score. This movie's an 8 for me. This was a very fun movie. It was a very good storytelling movie. And the entire time, there wasn't a single moment that I wanted to pause or look away.
Dude, the fucking humor with the director, I'm like replaying these scenes because I'm like, oh, is it funnier in English or Korean? Because it's great. I had to rewatch several scenes in both because I'm like, yes, I like this.
The movie started off as a 10 for me because of the director. And then it slowly went down and then went back up.
Yeah.
It basically put me on a roller coaster of emotions. And it put me on a roller coaster of like enjoyment and ill enjoyment. And the only part that was ill enjoyment was, I wish we got to explore this universe more. I wish there was more of the movie. This is the first time I ever wanted a movie to be longer. Like, I genuinely wanted this movie to become... I don't know. I want to read a book about this universe. I want to read more about it. I want to watch more about it. Hell,
right?
I feel like this would have been a great show.
They did such a good job of engaging you and bringing you in. So
But
good.
I'm not going to give it a 9 just because it just didn't feel like there was enough meat on the bone. Like, don't get me wrong, this was a filet mignon of enjoyment from Korean movies.
Yes.
But, man, now I want more. And I know I'm not going to get more. So, I'm going to give it an 8.
Did Carlos by chance text you what his score was?
No. But
So,
I'm going to be Carlos real quick.
Well,
And
I had stated a new rule in the chat, if you saw.
No.
And my new rule was, if you don't show up to the movie review...
You give it a 5 by default?
No. It's whoever picked the movie gets to pick your score and why you said that.
I don't like this rule.
So you better always show up.
I'm going to pick my own movie, and then I'm just not show up to them.
Oh, fuck. What do we do? I guess then we have to agree for the person who didn't show up what you said. So, like, if you don't show up next week, me and Carlos have to be like, this is how Dylan feels about this. We have to agree on it. Yeah, so Carlos said that this movie was his favorite movie of all time. He loved everything about it. He
definitely recorded the scene with Jung-ee's ass.
Yep. Yeah, I was gonna say he was just all about that. He is
That
an
cake.
ass man. And he didn't have anything bad to say about this, so he's gonna give it a perfect 10. No,
He's actually playing Fall Guys right now, and he's watching it in the background for the 80th time this week.
yeah, it's his favorite of all time. Well, we'll
It's
ask
the GOAT.
him. Yeah,
He
we'll
actually likes
update
this
it.
more than Gears of War.
Fair. I think what we'll do though, honestly, is we'll see if he did watch it and then ask for his score, like with RRR. And if he didn't watch it, we'll just average our two scores, and that'll be his score.
Okay, and hopefully we will hear something about it on next week's review, which is going to be Il Lang the Wolf Brigade.
What the fuck is that?
It is another Korean Asian action film, 2 hours and
Mm-hmm.
19 minutes long. It's a dystopian, violent movie action, and it
Mm-hmm.
looks like it came from Killzone. If you remember seeing that
Oh,
game, Killzone on the PlayStation.
yeah, I've seen the game. I've never played it.
Yep, the thumbnail is what hooked me. The reviews and everything seemed pretty good and decent, and
Mm-hmm.
just like the preview of it, looked like a really fun, deep action. Basically, what I didn't get in Jung E, I'm getting now.
Ah, more action, more
Yeah,
punchies.
a little
Yeah.
more punchy.
All right. Well, I hope it's good.
Me too.
Well, thank you everyone so much for joining us for another movie review. I hope you enjoyed the movie as much as we did. And make sure to join us again for next week. Leave all your comments down below. Have a fun discussion. Uh, RRR is still going strong, but all the other movies, more people are starting to comment and actually talk about the movie, which I love when we can have a full discussion about, maybe someone absolutely hated this movie and I'd like to know why. It's like, oh, okay, so that didn't strike with you. Anyway, bye.
Bye.
Fuck you.